The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
It's time now for Where You Live with Gene Sullivan, the show that deals with the news and events that affect you the most. Whether you rent or own, live in an HOA, single-family home, or an apartment building, Gene will tackle the issues right where you live. So, from the True North Painting Studios, here is the original man of steel, Resolve himself, who stands for truth, justice, and the association way. Here's Gene Sullivan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan. I'm broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. When you're looking for the right painting contractor, what do you look for? Isn't it someone who will respect you, your time, your property, and your budget? That's what you can expect from True North Painting. Find out more about this exceptional company by going online at truenorthpainting.com. That's trunorthpainting.com, or give them a call at 952-831-1433. I'm also brought to you by the great folks at Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. I'd like to say good morning to all our listeners who are listening to our broadcast on this Saturday morning. If you are listening to the rebroadcast on Sunday evening at 5, let me say good evening, everyone. And I can say that because of the magic and wonder of radio. And I also want to give a shout out to the person who makes that radio magic happen, the radio voodoo that you do so well, Christopher Wider Puberty. How are you, Chris?
Good, Gene. Thank you for that introduction.
Yes, well, you deserve it.
I try.
Yes. Well, hey, we've got a lot packed into today's show, so let's begin with our first story in property management in the news. Property management in the news is brought to you by Home Furniture and Abbey Floor Coverings. Their showrooms are staffed with professionals who will help you choose what you need to fit both your lifestyle and budget. Whatever you need, chances are they'll have what you're looking for. Now, if you wish to avail yourself of special pricing you won't find anywhere else, all Where You Live listeners can call Customer Service Coordinator Lori Matson at 952-224-2663. Our first story is going to be dealing with legislation that's coming out of the state of Illinois. As I said, this is the perfect time of season now when legislatures all around the country are coming up with new rules, new laws, new state statutes to try and right every wrong that has been brought their way. And they, at the Illinois legislature, are no different. They have some major things coming down the pike here for changes for those living in HOAs in Illinois. So let's give a rundown on some of that recent legislation. The first item, and this is all from a story, by the way, that was in the Chicago Tribune on January 31st. The first item that the state legislature in Illinois has made changes to is solar and wind power. And don't you just love the way legislators phrase things sometimes? Here's how it was phrased concerning solar and wind power. It says that the Illinois Condominium Property Act is going to grant associations the power to install solar energy systems and wind energy devices on common elements. And I don't know about you, but Chris, let me ask you, let me throw this out to you about granting power, because I think that what's happening here is that the state legislature is granting power that they really don't have the authority to do, because in this particular case, there's no law prohibiting an association from installing solar and wind energy devices. But let me give you this scenario, Chris. Let's say you're driving down the road. And have you ever been known to drive a little bit fast?
I have a little bit of a lead foot.
A little bit of a lead foot. Okay, so on one of these days you're driving with a little bit of a lead foot. You get pulled over by a state trooper, police officer, and they ask you for your license, and you hand them their license. And then you see them pulling out that notepad, and they're starting to write. And you know that a citation is coming. Turn to the officer, and why don't you say this? Officer, I'm going to give you the authority to write me that ticket. What do you think he would say?
He'd probably say, duh, I'm writing you the ticket right now.
He would be laughing, to be sure, because he already has that power. He already has that authority. But here we have a legislature in Illinois who is saying, we've done something for you, and what we're doing is we're going to grant you a power you already have, and that is a homeowners association already has the power and the authority to dictate and to operate how that property is going to get along. And so there is nothing that is being given here by the legislature. I guess it doesn't surprise me, but what I find interesting in something like this is that you'll get legislators who, what they want to do is they want to be able to put a feather in their cap. They want to be able to say, you know what? We're for the environment. And who's not for the environment? I'm for the environment. Everybody is. Nobody wants to see it destroyed. But someone wants to be able to say, we put together important legislation that will protect the environment, and that is in granting a power that associations already have. And the important thing here is that there's no change here. Associations have that authority to do that. What did this law really do? Well, what this law really does is it doesn't grant a power or authority that the association already has. What it does do is it does not honor contract law. When you stop and think about it, a group of homeowners act as a corporation. Every member, by virtue of the fact that they've purchased a home in an HOA, is a member and part owner of that corporation that owns that homeowners association together. And what's interesting is what you have here in this legislation is legislators who do not want to honor private contract law between its citizens. And I don't think the government has any right to get involved in contract law. Or let me rephrase that, in lawful contract law. If it's an unlawful, an illegal contract, like a contract on someone's life, yes, they should be involved. But when we're talking about something that is lawful, how an association will operate the property, I don't think that the association needs to get involved here. What's important to remember is that in those governing documents that you agreed to, that you had to read prior to purchasing that home in the association, there are some very important components. One of those very important components is that if there's going to be a major change in how the association operates, it will state many times that there needs to be not just a simple majority, but a supermajority of all the homeowners before something can be changed, can be added, or taken away. That's an important thing to remember. Now, you'll see different percentages of what constitutes a simple majority, but the people who bought that home in that particular association knew and understood before they purchased the home what would constitute a supermajority. In many cases, it will be 2/3 majority or 67%. Some will say 75% or 3/4. But in some of the older HOAs that are around, you'll find that that percentage can go as high as 80 or 100% approval before changes can be made to the governing documents. So what did these legislators do? They said, well, it doesn't matter if the association has had 80% approval or 100% approval before a change in the documents can be made here. In this particular issue concerning solar energy or wind energy, all that an association needs is 75% approval. So they said, we don't care what the contract law, what the contract says, what you agreed to. We're going to change that so you only need 75%. Well, that may sound good for those that are at 80 or 100%, but how about those that only need 2/3 majority? Has the legislator stopped to think that now they've changed it and those that are for the environment have actually probably going to prohibit some associations where all they needed was 2/3 majority? Now they need 75%? So they can only muster 70%? Or do you think the legislature will allow them to probably do that? Do you see where there's some sticking points here that maybe there's probably not really good legislation that's being written here? Well, I've got a lot more to say about this, and we will talk about that and so much more. So don't go away. We've got to take a break now, but we'll be back in a few minutes with Where You Live.